welcome to GM Talks. Today we're gonna look at how to study openings, and I'm gonna invite you to join me where we will look at some position from the King's Indian opening and try to solve them using this book by Karsten Müller, Typical King's Indian, and I think it's an excellent way to study openings. By the way, Karsten Müller is an old friend of mine from Hamburg, Germany. He's a very good writer, and he's written a lot of books, and I don't know, it's from JBV chess books. I don't hear much about them. I don't see them on the usual chess book shop, but they make excellent books. They're very nicely produced, and it's a pleasure. Anyway, this kind of book, I'll just show it again. Typical King's Indian is I got one from Müller, also in the French, also in the Carlsbad structure actually. The idea behind the thing is to study him as it actually, he gives different positions and then you have to solve them. So you are actively involved in the learning. So, and the good thing about it is the questions are like, find the candidate move, concrete action, and then there's maybe some questions. In this position, it's white to move. And he gives 3 moves. Let's go into the game here. He gives 3 moves that are possible. Rook ad1, h3, and d5. And he says one of them is bad. Now this is interesting, right? So you have to find out which one is bad, which one is not the right move according to the position. And you could also argue that d takes e5 is a possible move. Anyway, this kind of approach, I think I always use this when I study openings. Anyway, just to make sure we get the full picture, and this is an opening starting, we take it from the beginning. It's an internet game with, I think Jones played against Shirov in some internet game. So it's not really serious chess, but of course the learning from the game is serious. We have a classical King's Indian and knight bd7, we're playing e5 without allowing d takes e5, bishop e3. Here my pet line is to go rook e8, and which looks very weird, but it was played as I said. One thought it was Pologan, but it was a game by Cotronis that inspired me, just to make sure, from an earlier video. But queen e7 is also interesting move. Queen c2, c6. C6 is always a little bit dodgy. I don't know if I like it. The thing is, after d5 you are forced to make a decision, which you are not if the pawn is still back. So it makes it a little bit easier for white to get something going on the queen side. But of course it takes away this square, and it looks like it cannot be bad. Rook fe1 makes sense. h6 is nice to have because knight g4. And here we have the position. So let's see. Well, something like d5, well, it cannot be bad. This is just, and to be honest, in this position, I think white is already better after d5. I would play d5. One of the things you should probably look into is something like, if for instance, if after something like this, then maybe something like this could be good. This looks really weird. The idea is simply to put the knight here, and because the pawn is here, this is often a lot of problems for black, and white is actually not worse on the king side in these kind of positions. So that's one of the ideas. Müller does not discuss the other move, he just discusses the mistake. So then there's h3. The question is, can black put a lot of pressure on this pawn and make it a problem? It doesn't look like that way. After something like this, rook e8, you could just go bishop f1. So a3 is not, and probably you can also take with the knight. So probably those moves looks like they can't be hurt. But rook ad1 can that really be a mistake? Well, the thing is, you can there are some logic, and when you go through this kind of exercise, you get the logic under your skin, and that is the idea behind studying the openings this way. Instead of just learning variations, you learn ideas and you learn how they sort of work together. And of course, the only move that makes sense after rook ad1 that can be punished is knight d4, attacking the bishop. And of course, losing this bishop would really be unpleasant for sure for white. So the bishop goes, and here comes the idea: e takes d4, and we realize that maybe something is a little bit smelly, because there are some problems on the dark squares. The best move for white now is actually this move. And black should probably not take, because white will get excellent compensation, and also, to be honest, as a King's Indian player, you would really hate to give up this bishop to win an exchange and then come under some nasty attack on the dark squares. That's really like so. The best move is probably something like this, threatening to win the rook, and after this f5, and we have a very interesting position. That is definitely giving mutual chances. But of course, the natural move is knight d4, and we start to look: is there something knight takes h2, and bishop takes and rook takes and stuff. But then you realize, oh, there's this move. Whoa! What's going on? Well, it threatens the rook, and of course, white can play something like this. But this really looks bad, right? It really looks bad. This must be fantastic for black. This is what, if you're a King's Indian player, this is what you really want. So, okay, take, and here comes the check. And we realize that, of course, g3, queen takes h2 is gonna hurt a lot, and you're gonna lose material, and you're gonna get mated, and so on. So that's something you probably don't even have to calculate. Something like this, and we see that due to this pin here, white is losing the exchange. He could go here, but after something like this, the pain is really starting to be severe. So it's you have to probably give away the exchange. But even here, white can, in a blitz game, white can fight on. He does have this dark squared bishop, and black would love to have his bishop back, or her bishop back. It's Jones, and Jones used to be men, so I think it's. Anyway, he played king e3. That's not a good move. Take, and again rook takes, queen takes e1 is worse now, with the king sailing around here. And after this, typical King's Indian attack. Okay, check, painful stuff. You can get mated in a very funny way with king d3, knight e5, and queen f4. Let's just see this. And this is really a funny mate. Bishop e3. c5, king d3, check, and over. So I think that's how the game went, actually. And a very typical, nice little attack using the knight. That the square d4 was in play, and something like this. If you have not done these exercises, and you're not a regular King's Indian player, you will not see something like this. This is something. These patterns. The patterns is what you're training when you do this kind of opening exercises. So you look at the openings and you look at the patterns, and this is kind of, you can say it's a trap, but it's also a typical pattern, tactical patterns on how black's counterplay will develop. Okay, let's see another game. Also from Müller. So we'll load from the library. I did set it up. Here we go. And you can find it in the book. And you should buy the book, by the way. Anyway, okay, so let's go fast forward. This is the King's Indian. A3. That's very popular, and I get to play against A3 all the time when I play the King's Indian in Blitz. Bishop E3. And knight fd7. That's an interesting move, and I had not realized that you could play it here. It looks really funny to play it here, but it's definitely not bad. And after this, you play a5, and the idea is you want to play f5 without having a knight here. So white doesn't, with the knight on d2, it doesn't have the opportunity to kick take the knight when you trap the bishop. We're gonna see exactly what I'm talking about. The best move here is probably g4, and black will play knight a6 and f5, and we'll have something similar, but maybe in a little bit better way, because you don't have to go knight d2 until you're forced to, and sometimes the knight can go here instead, stay on the king side. So this is a little bit premature in my opinion, but it's not a bad move. And d4. By the way, if you play here, if you play d4 immediately, then after knight a6, the best move is probably to go a3. Now, what is that? The idea behind a3 is that knight will not come to c5 without being kicked. So you get, but this knight will not come, because then b4 and the rook down here is hanging. So that's the downside. The upside is, of course, that a3 is weakening white's position and this square and so on. But it is theory, and I think that it's safe to say that white probably have a slight advantage after something like a3. Anyway, knight d2, knight a6. And again, well, black is ready for f5, so white goes d4. King h8 is not necessary. Actually, you can go f5 immediately. There's no reason to play king h8 first, especially when the rook is not on d1. You can wait for rook g1 and then go king h8. So there's no reason to play king h8 first, but this, I think this was an internet blitz game, and is natural, and I think it's also theory, but just, and here again, and h4 is interesting, and of course, if white just get one more move, you play h5. But he didn't get one more move, and well, this was not the game. Yeah, this was the game, and here, instead of taking, as he did, the computer likes this move. And here I would like to draw your attention to, and Müller doesn't discuss this, but I think that in a practical game, most people would prefer to be black after this kind of exchange sacrifice. It's just so annoying to have this position. Is like being sort of facing surgery without being asking for it. It's black, but the computer says white is slightly better here, but yeah, you probably should not take, because then this becomes a monster. All black pieces brings to life, and all the weaknesses of white camp is a problem. h5 is apparently the best move, and black actually takes on h5. Anyway, this is an interesting position. If you're a King's Indian player, then you are fine with this kind of things, and this is the kind of thing you will learn when you sit and you do these exercises. I'm going to show you again that are in this book, so I can't recommend it enough. I think, to be honest, some of the lines Müller gives is, I think sometimes something is missing, and the exercises are hard. They're really hard, so it's to be honest, it's not that good for my confidence to do these exercises, because my intuition, which I'd like to see, okay, well, how is my intuition in this position, tend to be pretty much wrong half the time, which is not what you expect from a player like me that's supposed to have a good intuition. Anyway, take and knight d6. We see that black is already very happy now. Bishop is coming here. This looks pretty good for black. Knight d, take bishop f5. Here probably white should go bishop g2. After something like knight b, I don't know what are you gonna do, but it looks like black is definitely in a good way here. He went knight d3, and this was actually here that the computer asked, not the computer, Müller asked, what is black's best way of developing his initiative? And maybe it's a strange question, but it's also a good question, because you realize after some thought that, okay, you could probably play e4. it could be a little bit dangerous that something could be happening here. Still, e4 can be bad, but this doesn't have a harmonious feel. You don't want to give up this bishop without getting something, because then if white is allowed to make some kind of white square blockade, you're in trouble. But on the other hand, you want to play energetically. Something like this just doesn't cut it, because it's getting kicked off where it wants to be, the bishop. So the best move here in this situation is, and I'm sure you guessed it, no, it's not going back. That would be a sort of standard reaction in many situations, but then white has control over e4 and is not in a bad way, I guess. I think white is okay there, but queen d7 is very strong. Just connecting the rooks and getting ready to attack more. E4 is coming, bishop d4 could be coming, knight b4 could be coming. A lot of things is threatening here, and black has only good pieces, and white's king is in trouble. He gives some lines here, and I was a little bit surprised about the line. I think in the game they went something like this, and after knight b4, white is really in trouble. The knight is just coming. Something like this is just horrible. You just take and go back, and there's not much to do there. And I think, I'm not sure it finished this way, but that could be and knight takes a2 followed by knight b3 mate. And a typical motive, again, when you do these exercises, these are the kind of patterns, motives that you should get under your skin. This is the kind of thing that's sort of, when you see good players, grandmasters and so on, when you see them play, like a lot of this is more or less automatic. They notice, oh, there's this pattern, boom, and it comes, right? So that's what you should aiming to do when you study an opening. So it's not enough to learn the theory. It's much more important to know these patterns. My pieces like to take this route to this square. This kind of thing I should really avoid. When white is allowed to do this, I'm in trouble. If black is allowed to do this, I'm in trouble, and so on. All these kind of rules you have in your head for playing the position is what you develop when you study an opening this way. Anyway, the best move f3 sample line is something like a3, bishop e4, and here followed by knight d4, and it's just a horror show. So you could also have something like, I think maybe this is also just really problematic. Bishop e3, queen f6, and basically black will get a serious attack. There's maybe also this threatening now, and of course this kind of position is more or less unplayable for white. The main line is f3, and I was a bit surprised because when I put this game into to chess.com, the engine just gave e4 more or less winning for black. And Müller doesn't mention e4. He just mentioned knight b4, and says that I have a lot of analysis, and of course that's also interesting, but somehow e4 seems more precise. I don't know, just saying you're not gonna blockade me. I'm gonna kill you while you're in your bed, dear king, on e2, e1. After all, it's called the King's Indian, so we're coming for you, king. Anyway, this was GM Talks. I hope you enjoyed sort of studying an opening with me. Of course, I was prepared. You were not prepared, so it was easier for me. But this kind of way to study an opening, I think, is really beneficial for most players. Just getting to know where the pieces belong, the tactical patterns, what to look for, and so on. This was GM Talks. Thank you for watching, and I will wait a little bit before stopping the video so we are sure that it's not cut off by something in the YouTube stuff. Thank you for now.